So I talk a lot about VTubers, especially recently. Yes, I do have a speech impediment in the form of an accent,
I think his accent is cute, for what it's worth.
and it's actually becoming a hobby of mine, as this is the third installment and third video on the topic of virtual 3D and 2D anime-like characters controlled by the facial expressions and body language of an IRL person. And they come in many forms, like the corporate VTubers, indie VTubers,
Yep, she has 100% autism.
femboy VTubers,
Hey, what do you guys actually do when I posted my IRL cake butt booty butt stomp actually on my Instagram?
tomboy VTubers,
Putain! Fais chier, fils de pute!
and many more flavours of VTuber. But despite some of these being cute anime characters, a certain few have a disturbing layer underneath. And we're going to talk about some of these VTubers that certainly earn the title of some of the most controversial VTubers, either for the misdeeds or general conduct on their platform. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to generate your own opinion of these VTubers, but do not go out of your way to hate on them, as some of these people do not deserve the attention in general, and you do not need to stoop down to their level. However, I've got to give credit where credit is due. I got an email recently. Yes, I'm actually checking my inbox now. Please stop sending me racial slurs. And still waiting on that sponsorship email, NordVPN. I know I ignored it like 4 years ago, but just give me another chance. I'm a grown adult now. I still eat Cocoa Pops, but I can bench over 100 kilograms now. But anyway, this email was actually comprehensible. I know, surprising from some of you. Some of you have a deficiency of chromosomes, I swear. But anyway, the email was to look at a certain degenerate VTuber with a controversial past, but I thought I would include other VTubers that have such a past as well. The first one has a laundry list of controversies, especially in their past internet activity, and apparently was involved in a previous video I made about the femboy VTuber Bungo Taiga, or taigaholic. And this VTuber's name is Marina.
I'm gonna put this as nicely as possible. Not every streamer is very smart.
If you haven't heard of Marina, you probably haven't seen their VTubers areolas posted all over the internet, as we'll talk about later. But who is Marina? Starting all the way back in September 2022, and as a so-called Kraken mommy, nothing really stuck out about Marina. They were your normal borderline NSFW VTuber. Their content very much 18+, and they were an indie VTuber, so they could basically do whatever they want. Content-wise, that is. Their Twitter is filled to the brim with NSFW content, and their YouTube shorts is very much the same. Like, I just wanted to watch my fake Reddit stories. I don't need a half-naked female in the corner. But they mainly stream on platforms such as Twitch, and people's opinion of them was very much indifferent, until things started to go downhill and they became shrouded in controversies. The first one being the one I mentioned earlier, which most of you have probably heard about as it was all over the internet when it happened, as Twitch changed their TOS to allow artistic nudity. This involved drawing titties and such things as erotic dances. I don't know why you would want that on Twitch. I thought the hot tub section was enough. But Marina apparently understood the TOS very well, as almost as if they were spawn camping the update to the TOS. Shortly after the update to the TOS, they would show up to their stream essentially showing all the crown jewels. Their VTuber model and a picture on the right showing their avatar completely naked. I swear Twitch wants to be reincarnated as Chatterbait, and whilst Marina was streaming, her chat was telling them they can't do this, and it was very much a bad idea. But they would go on to rebuttal this, bragging about their view account, as there were a lot of people to come see some anime titties. But they also continued by saying, essentially, chat was wrong, and your favourite content creator that are sheep, only following others' opinions, are imbeciles, and they actually hold their own opinion and can do their own research, because they are in the right.
I'm gonna put this as nicely as possible. Not every streamer is very smart. Some are geniuses, but I think some people either A, don't read the TOS themselves, and they just look at other people posting misinformation, or they just don't think things through. It's very explicit about the things that you can show and you can't show.
But evidently, they were very much in the wrong, as the only thing within TOS was the 1080p naked picture of themselves on the right hand side, because they did not know that VTubers need to follow the Twitch attire guidelines. Just like any IRL streamer, they can't go on stream completely naked or showing explicit parts of themselves. So much for the research, I guess.
Either A, don't read the TOS themselves,
But subsequently, they were banned, albeit just for one day, which made the entire internet lose their shit. As essentially for the deed they did, they just got a slap on the wrist with a styrofoam brick. As most people thought it should have been longer, as kids could have been watching even though it was put under mature content. However, I kind of understand the only one day ban, as it's not entirely their own fault, but yeah, there is a certain level of arrogance and naivety to think you can show a full hog on a platform like Twitch, but Twitch's guidelines are about as coherent and comprehensible as the drawings of cavemen, and are most of the time are very ambiguous. $1 million company, by the way. They also show a lot of discrepancies when applying their TOS to certain streamers, where some get banned and some don't, even though they broke the same rule. But I understand that Twitch weren't communicating this well, so they gave everyone that was not within that TOS a one-day ban because it was their fuck-up. But some content creators and VTubers actually followed the TOS and still got banned, like the French VTuber Saori that was drawing NSFW art on stream and was within TOS, but they're French, so... French! But the supposed Kraken mommy apologised for the incident, but only after they lost a primary sponsorship, which was a controversy within itself, but they returned back to streaming after their ban, where more controversies would occur. The next one being, of all things, Hogwarts Legacy, the game that launched in a better state than any Fallout game and Battlefield game, but still had a terrible launch, which to me, to this day, still makes no sense to me. The reason for this terrible launch was because it was a Harry Potter game. J.K. Rowling created Harry Potter and is known to be transphobic, homophobic and slightly racist. But they still own the intellectual property that is Harry Potter. And even though she had no impact on the creation of this game, just because it was tied to the fictional world of Harry Potter, which she created, many people of the LGBTQ condemned the game and the people that were streaming it and overall just playing it, to the point where people streaming it received harassment as they were supposedly supporting her transphobic and homophobic agenda.
Not the random people jumping on a hate mob for clout and attention and wanting to feel special and give themselves a pat on the back for bullying the stupid Harry Potter nerd.
But buddy, it's not that deep. Just because I like these paintings doesn't mean I like the person that created them, and let alone support their message. But this led to a lot of streamers being harassed and ending their streams early when they were going to play the game. So where does Kraken mommy fit into all of this? Well, they were accused of doing the same thing, condemning people that were streaming just this game. Their first tweet basically saying that trans people are being affected by people streaming this game because they're not being supported. The second tweet, presumably, is a response to a deleted tweet where somebody is complaining they're getting a lot of backlash for streaming this game, and Marina basically goes on to say, "You're not the victim here, buddy," and that just streaming this game promotes a terrible message. Along with the line, "It is copium to think there's nothing wrong with streaming it." Now, the past two controversies would be combined together later on to create an absolute feces storm for Marina, along with one more controversy, and that was their advocation that Taiga, or Bungo Taiga, was a pedophile in the midst of a smear campaign. All of the evidence stacked up against Bungo Taiga was cleared, with the exoneration of Bungo Taiga document produced by a private investigator, which basically exposed the people that were writing this document who were infatuated with Taiga but couldn't get that femboy bussy. So they resorted to smearing their reputation with out-of-context screenshots and overall just false evidence. But I've already talked about this enough in one of my previous videos. But Marina comes into this, where she basically advertised the document deplatforming Taiga without doing any of their own research, essentially saying Taiga does not belong in the community, and essentially assisting in pushing the narrative of the smear campaign. And these tweets of them pushing this narrative are still available to this day. And even though it was disproved, they still claim no responsibility for the impact they had on the situation, even when Taiga called them out directly, and allegedly informing other influential VTubers, such as Nux Taku, to also discuss these allegations as if they were true.
Other than Nux and Marina, but Nux claims to have gotten it from a close confidant. So, Like, that's why I think Marina was his secret plug who gave him all the info on me, I guess.
Which made the situation even worse for Taiga. And one more less known controversy about Marina is other VTubers coming about their experience with her, overall just being a terrible time, where allegedly, they have Discords dedicated to bullying people, and Discord screenshots showing that when people separated themselves from their group, they would send so-called spies to keep tabs on them. But once again, that is very much word of mouth. Now all of these accusations come in the limelight when they got sponsored with Glitch Energy, a sponsor which dropped them when their VTuber model got naked on stream. However, due to this announcement, people were outraged that such a company would partner with someone with so many past allegations, leading to Glitch Energy hiding many of the replies on the tweet, replies which were criticising the decision, which led to Marina trying to get people from their Discord to post something positive under the tweet to somewhat overlook all the criticism, and labelling most of the people providing this criticism as transphobic. Does that mean I'm transphobic now as well? Now I see where they're coming from here. This is Twitter. It's like going to a gas station toilet and expecting there not to be human feces on every centimetre of the wall. Some of these responses to that tweet could have generally been fueled by transphobia, but a lot of these were just general criticism for this decision and dragging up their past of fuck-ups. Now Marina would respond to this by posting a lengthy paragraph, responding to each accusation individually, with some additional accusations such as doxing and sexualizing being an IRL teacher, which I didn't know was an accusation, but majority of it boils down to she didn't do the harassment towards the Hogwarts Legacy Twitch streamers. She wasn't responsible for the reputation decrease towards Taiga, because she was simply just expressing her disgust, and a majority of the other accusations are just false. Now it's up to you what you think of Marina. They haven't had any significant allegations this past year. Despite losing their sponsorship, they seem to be doing just fine. However, my own opinion is I think they should have had more awareness when it came to the Twitch TOS guidelines breaking, and not responded with such arrogance. I think they did have an impact with the taigaholic situation, due to the fact they did advertise it and that tweet is still up to this day. And generally assuming that people giving you criticism are only doing this for transphobic purposes, I don't think this is true. I think some would generally just giving you criticism. But that is one VTuber down, 2 more to go. Is your faith in humanity diminished yet? Because mine was gone when I launched League of Legends for the first time. Now the next VTuber we're going to talk about is Nux Taku.
Like, I was gonna make a video on it. I was thinking about it, and then I was like, dude, if I make a video roasting this dude on my main channel, YouTube will literally deplatform him.
Now I talked about Nux in my previous video with Taiga. Don't worry, I'm not a part of the Taiga Defense Force. This is just a coincidence, I swear. But I've already talked about their involvement with the Taiga situation, how they advertised that they were a groomer when they in fact weren't, but also advertised it to people like Moist Critical, which put it on a wider scale, fully well knowing they were not informed on the entire details, but still spoke about it as if it was true anyway.
Who, I don't know the whole story, but Taiga was outed to be a pimp.
Incorrect.
And doing very little when they were called out for this, despite causing significant damage to Taiga's reputation, even ensuring Taiga that they would do another video of Moist Critical, but that video never came.
This was in December 22nd, 2022. 2022! He said he was going to make a sequel video with Moist Critical. Video never came.
And they seemingly just wanted to overlook and forget about the whole situation in general. But as said, I've already spoken about this in my previous video, so just keep it in mind. But who is Nux Taku? Nux Taku is a VTuber that mainly posts on YouTube. They were initially known for their anime takes, so unfortunately me and him share a past. But he later branched out into commentary videos on different topics, and he started uploading to YouTube around 8 years ago, in 2015, but introduced himself as a VTuber in January of 2021, the peak of VTubing, and he's around 28 years old as of 2024. And that's most of the information people know about Nux Taku. They're an extremely private person, nobody's seen their face yet, like many VTubers, but they have been on the YouTube platform for a while. And within those 8 years, he has not been void of controversies, one of which being the hypocrisy to one of the statements he advertises almost constantly, is that if you like lollies, you are IRL. Lollies being children in anime. However, it would quickly get called out on the fact that in his thumbnails, he has lollies and even has VTuber friends that are lollies. And when he was criticised for this, he doubled down, making a video about one of his accusers, Rev Says Desu, which the thumbnail just tells you the summary of the whole video, and whilst doing so, realising he's a hypocrite, would start combing through their own thumbnails, removing all references of lollies, relatively with no excuse for doing so. And quite recently with the Ava Tyson expose, where they were in contact with a minor and contacting another content creator called Shadman, who draws pictures of those underage, especially Keemstar's daughter. It was said that Nux also has a line of communication with them, despite their opinion of lollies. However, that is all alleged, and it is still in its infancy, so I'm not really going to talk about that in regards to their hypocrisy, and my own opinion is I don't think they really had that much of communication with Shadman, and I don't think overall they should have any involvement with that situation. Royalty from the future here, editing this at midnight and listening to Childish Gambino Lithuania. It was just released that Nux had just left the Some Ordinary Gamers podcast, but had nothing to do with the Shadman allegations, supposedly. It was just a coincidence, do with that what you will. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to wasting my life now, enjoy the video I guess. But regardless, Nux has a bit of an ego. Like with the Rev situation, he said if he actually made a video responding to Rev's claims, because YouTube has been watching his podcast with Some Ordinary Gamers, he essentially says if he reacted to it and made a video on it, YouTube would take notice and take action against Rev. Like YouTube is just setting up his taint, waiting for his every order.
If I make a video roasting this dude on my main channel, YouTube will literally deplatform him. Especially ever since I've been on the Some Ordinary podcast, YouTube has really been paying attention to like what we've been saying.
He also goes on to criticize Rev's view count, implying that him doing a video on Nux has given him significant views than it normally would, despite in current times, Rev is performing a lot better than Nux. And his previous statement doesn't make much sense either way, where he essentially said YouTube would take actions against Rev because Nux would have been involved. But in the same year would make a video basically saying that YouTube had shadow banned them.
Because it makes no sense, and my channel is clearly shadow banned.
Admittedly without concrete evidence, and then would go on to make a few more videos with dramatic titles and dramatic thumbnails, because it was somewhat working and his viewer count wasn't plateauing anymore. But some people did stop watching Nux, simply because he changed since when he initially started. Some people say he's very loud and obnoxious now, uses other content creators as crutches, and his thumbnails being somewhat provocative. So there may be another reason why people just stopped watching him. But he is in no way a dead YouTuber. But other controversies where people generated a negative opinion of him was the VShoujo drama, where basically everyone turned against him like he was Julius Caesar, even though he had their best intentions at heart. But in the midst of it, he would get cancelled and thrown away like a filled contraceptive. And it was very much a pile-on of Nux Taku, because all he wanted to do was expose some impersonators of VShoujo, a VTuber agency he was associated with, because they were sending out phishing emails basically saying they were VShoujo to gather the information of all these VTubers to dox or swat them. And he made a video about this and a public statement, even getting the go-to head from the cybersecurity team at VShoujo, and even getting a pat on the back because he was essentially doing a public service. But VShoujo members would have a very negative opinion on this act, advocating he should take down the video and should have informed them, and that he was using this event for clout and clickbait. Now VShoujo themselves condemned his actions, even though previously they endorsed it, even telling him to link their official statement and that they knew about the doxing situation the whole time, but did nothing about it. And even one of the VShoujo girls knew about this video and had no quarrels with him posting it. But then when he posted the video, immediately went to condemn his actions and speak from a point of view like they didn't know it was going to happen. Now with the VShoujo talent against him and VShoujo itself and the public's general opinion against him, he'd post all the receipts clearing his name. Now some of the VShoujo talent that dropped him in it did get away with it, and still to this day people still hold a negative opinion of Nux because of this. However, looking at Nux in general, I wouldn't say they deserve all the negative attention they get. They do deserve the criticism for their hypocrisy and spreading of misinformation without being entirely informed, but a majority of the reason people do hold a negative opinion is because of his content, thumbnails, his change in personality, and association with other content creators. I think if Nux owned up to his mistakes in the past instead of quietly hiding them and hoping they go away, the only problem people would have with him is his character. And personally, I am hoping the stuff with Shadman doesn't turn out to be true, because that would be another point of hypocrisy, and he most certainly would be lined up for the guillotine. Now, the final VTuber we're going to talk about was the main reason for the email sent to me, and the sender of the email had just cause, because said person is undoubtedly the king of stirring the pot and then playing the victim. They lay a liquid log on other people and then proceed to act like Keemstar, wondering why they get so much hate.
Why am I still getting hate?
After doing such things as doxing, harassing, and just generally being the bottom of the barrel of the internet, and barely anyone knows who they are and what they've done. But this VTuber's name is Falterxv.
I'm gonna annoy them! Because he's right on me!
Now, there's not a lot of information out about Falterxv. They're not that big of a VTuber, and not many people have covered their misdeeds, and the fact they have been accused of making another VTuber take their own life. But it can only be assumed that VTuber took their own life because they're no longer active on their account and haven't been in touch with close friends. But Falterxv is considered to be in their early 30s. They're a femboy VTuber who streams games like Destiny on Twitch. But going over to their Twitter, you can find quite literally a schizophrenic's journal of their meltdown. They accuse random streamers of random things, often with little or no evidence, and they assume these streamers are out to get them. Like, buddy, you are quite literally creating the problem, and most people cannot reply to their tweets, so they're basically in an echo chamber with no one to snap them out of it. And just a heads up, if you're in a controversy or you make an accusation towards somebody, and you're presumably the victim or the innocent one, never lock your comments or your Twitter replies. It makes it look like you're the bad person by controlling the narrative and not allowing anyone else to comment on said narrative. They also have a history of abusing YouTube's copyright system, to the point where YouTube removed the feature from their channel to do this, because they did it so frequently, and obviously with misinformation. And they would go on to say it wasn't them doing this, it's someone creating fake accounts and doing it within their name, but some of these accounts were older than his account, before they were a content creator and even shared the same name with him sometimes. But the alleged fake accounts don't end there. As they complain on their Twitter, they're constantly being harassed by other content creators creating fake accounts with their name just to harass them. But there is no concrete evidence there are other creators doing this. They just pin the blame on these creators, and with how frequent he tweets about this, in my opinion, I'm starting to think he's creating the accounts. Also, one of these accounts goes on to say they physically assaulted him, and they're admitting this out of guilt, stabbing him at their home, and links all the people that have been calling them out on their bullshit as co-conspirators. And obviously the replies on most of these tweets are once again locked. But this is just genuinely insanity. They have been alleged to scam people, donating to streamers and then refunding the donation, where one streamer was going to use that money to buy RAM, but when they bought it, they refunded the donation, so they were out about $97, with the reasoning being to PayPal that they didn't receive the goods they sent the money for them to buy. And this was a birthday present, by the way. They've also been accused of doxing, putting someone's last name as their Twitch stream title, but I can't show evidence of this because it's somebody's name. Now, on to the more serious allegation, which was the unfortunate apparent ending of someone's life. Cherry Swator would make a tweet back in October of 2023, hinting towards their own demise because of the alleged harassment by Falterxv. They haven't been heard from since, and admittedly there is no solid evidence they have done the act they describe. And Falter likes to advocate they didn't actually end themselves, and they are very much still alive. However, the harassment Cherry had to face from Falter involved them saying Cherry had doxed them, which he does to other content creators. He accuses them all of doxing him, with seemingly no evidence. This is the evidence he provided. And then accusing them of sexualizing them when another account posted this meme and he accused that account of being a fake account made by them, but then goes on to tweet things like this, a screenshot of them explaining the struggles they're going through, and then criticizing them, saying they have no friends or family, and then emphasizing that in following tweets talking about her. Now, there are a lot of other accusations I can't fit into this video about Falter. There is an entire 96-page document on their misdeeds, but giving them the benefit of the doubt. They may be getting harassed by other content creators in some faraway universe, but it just does not add up with the lack of evidence they provide, and how they can assume certain creators are doing this with a lack of evidence themselves. And the accusations against Falter are backed up, unlike their claims. But the one thing I can say about this is, I hope that Cherry is still alive and has taken a step back from the internet. But if you want more information I can't fit into this video without doing a separate video on the topic, check out Mako Ray's and AJ News' video on it. And thank you to the person for that email, even though I technically cooked you here, not talking about all the other controversies they've been through. But in conclusion, VTubers are liable to the same controversies your content creators that actually use their own face and personality are liable to.
Look, it's SpongeBob!
So the next time you look at these sweet, supple anime girls, or femboys depending on your preference, they may have committed many war crimes in their past. Just because they're an anime girl doesn't mean they can't do it, and get away with it. But yeah, bye bye.